I've been listening to the questions, and I think there's something missing here. You know, when the African Trade Policy Center initiated this forum, I'm sure they had in mind the idea not only to serve as an advocacy point, but also to bring people all across Africa, business people. Remember the introductory presentation by Mr. Alan Shermartin, the coordinator. He said he had brought different interest groups into this room. What do you think? Begin critically analyzing why he said that and to what effect. I don't think we are here to discuss government policies alone. But if you remember the 8 points I presented as part of my identification of the challenges and opportunities was to address, and I'm looking straight at my brother from Gambia, it was to help enhance and facilitate a pro-business environment in your countries. Now, what stops you all here from beginning to negotiate, cut deals, discuss propositions, and how you effectively implement your strategic plans to get business done? Let me tell you suggest something to you. I used to be director of an international trade center. And over 10 years ago, ECA invited me to help write the proposal for this African Trade Policy Center. I didn't want to take credit for this, because once you take credit, you have to also take a lot of the blame for it. I've been very subtle. Over 10 years ago, we were talking about motivating a continental union to take us beyond discussing politics. That was the motivation. But today, we recognize that it is important to get back and revisit what we do to strengthen or create a pro-business environment in Africa that takes governments out of doing business, but get the individual entrepreneurs and unleash their talent and skills and all that. The reason I brought the issue of being formally a director of a trade center is simply this. I was in the state university system in North Carolina, and we had a governor who had a vision to expand North Carolina and build North Carolina and take us out of a rural-centered economy into a robust, pro-business, industrialized manufacturing economy, even in the U.S. And part of my mandate when I wrote my first proposal was to include the businesses, especially the small and medium-sized businesses. Believe me, my brother, we started taking businesses to Canada, farmers to Canada, to cut deals with supermarket in Ontario and other places, where during the winter, we would provide produce, they bring their trucks in, they ship them. The governor even let us fly his private plane to take these farmers and others. And the U.S. is not, a farm economy dominated, environment. Before long, we were taking businesses to Shanghai and other places. I remember in 1999 when the U.S. cut the first U.S. China agreement. When I got back, the press were all over me. Did we go and do this? I said, no, I didn't even know that was going on. The power of the people in a state. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do we need to really form a continental federation before we do business? My suggestion is no. Brother Alan Shermartin has provided leadership to get you here. What are you going to do? To my sister from Nigeria, we are not here to just talk, but hopefully you identify an opportunity to strike business deals. There are members from the chambers of commerce here. What are your strategic... Look, yesterday when I landed, traveling by Ethiopia Airlines, I hated it, having to travel by Ethiopia Airlines. But I gave them the ATPC, my itinerary where I wanted to go, but they put me in Ethiopia. But I tend to believe that all things are meant for good, right? Yes. I received my good education. I picked up this. Do you see this? This is an African business publication. Look here. Kenya. The focus on Kenya, your country.
Thank you.
Provided strategic planning by the private business sector as to how they want government to lead them, provide leadership in certain policy to make their job easier. That policies that don't tax them to death, but allow them to also, reap revenues from which they can reinvest in the economy. Aside from that, there was a page also devoted to the African Trade Forum. Good job, Mr. Chairman.
Well done.
Come on. Here you are sitting, talking as though somebody has put chains on your hands to discuss only what government does. No, listen carefully. I think if you listen well, ATPC, in collaboration with all the institutions they brought into this room, are helping to unleash the capacity of the African business man and woman, right, to grow. Then we can talk about when the profit margins are great, when the wealth has been created beyond just, rent-seeking and all that. We can talk about how you influence the governments to support you to do the right things. Some of you may get into politics. You don't know that yet, but then you'll be able to lobby them to do what? This is what wealth does. What you want to do, who you want them to do. You will be able to talk about the efficiency and distributional aspects of what happens when you have wealth. Who gets what? And how deep do you get?